Now my question is, if your files have got deleted, fortunately or unfortunately, how can we retrieve those files back?
By deleting the by deleting the older one.
Older one in the sense?
If we have deleted that, it will show us as a delete marker. If we just click on that, we can access that.
So when do we see that delete marker thing about a particular file?
When we delete that file.
Of course,
Like if we enable the
yes, yes, yes. Go ahead, Sai.
Okay.
You're correct. Yes.
there will be an option. If we enable that one, we will be getting that one.
What is that enabling? Rajita said. What is that?
Versioning.
Yes, exactly. Versioning. Yes.
Uh,
If you enable versioning, then it will create all the different versions of a particular file, and those versions are helpful for us to back up the data into another region, or if the file is lost, then it will also help us to retrieve it back. So the other day we have created a bucket, my first bucket 169 something like that, and then we have uploaded a file into it that's test.txt. Okay, and I hope it's public. So that let's try and access will continue from where we stopped. Okay, so that's what we have in that file. And if we just go and check the versions of that particular file, we have only two versions. So we have seen what is all about versioning, and then we now need to understand something about the other parameters which we did not discuss. So we have seen how to make a bucket public, how to provide permissions to that, and have seen static web hosting, logging, events, versioning, tags, then request to page, transfer acceleration, all that. So we only now have to see something about lifecycle and cross-region replication. These are the two things we need to talk about. Once if we discuss, there is something more we need to talk about, and then we are done with S3. So let's see something about lifecycle. Do you remember we have spoken something about lifecycle and what for it is used? Yeah? Can anybody? What's lifecycle?
yeah, to specify time for the data we stored,
Okay,
time
so
period for the data we stored.
the time will be for existing the file in the S3 bucket, or will be deleted. What for the time limit is set?
To be deleted.
Okay, since you say something like that, I wanted to ask you a question. I have a project. Okay, of course, I have multiple projects, and those multiple projects have the storage that is S3. And once I'm done with one particular project, I wanted to delete the files or folders or the data related to only that particular project. So how do I do that? Do I have to go search every single file and folder about that particular project and then delete manually, or I have another option? If yes, how can I do that? Hmm. Yes, you got my question, what I'm
Uh,
talking about?
yeah, Yeah.
By tags, we can identify it's not that I wanted to delete something. Yes, dear?
Uh, no, sir, no idea.
Okay, not an issue, not an issue. What we do is, when you wanted to delete files about a particular, in real time, I recently had an experience in my office or in my thing. There was a request to delete a particular type of file from the S3 bucket or a particular project file from S3 bucket. And that S3 bucket has so much of stuff in that, then I found it very difficult to delete about those particular files from that. So I just thought for something, if I can do that automatically without I manually search every single, thing like that. So what I've done is, was I went to the lifecycle management and created a rule for that. Okay, not an issue. We don't know that because we haven't seen anything practically. So we will see it today. So I've created a lifecycle rule. That lifecycle rule has deleted all those files on behalf of me. And it not only deleting some files, but also changes the storage class from one storage class to another. Why do we need to change the storage class? Because of revenue issues. Okay, revenue always comes into picture. So whenever you need to, you wanted to reduce your charges, you always have to shrink your data utilization. So that's what here it is mentioned. Let's see what it is. What's life cycle management again? So you see here, you can manage. You able to see my screen, right? All of you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you can manage the life cycle of objects by using life cycle rule. Life cycle in the sense the time period or the type of storage the data is in. Life cycle rules enable you to automatically transition objects to the standard infrequent access storage class and or archive objects to Glacier. We will see what is archiving and all. Okay, not to worry anything about it in the next minute. Glacier storage class and or remove objects after a specified time period. Rules are applied to all the objects that are shared, okay, that share the specified prefix. And for this lifecycle management, it is not compulsory to have versioning enabled. You can also set lifecycle rules, though there is no versioning is enabled. Okay. So now let's see. I said there are different type of storages. I will discuss about that today, not to worry. So those different type of storages will help us to save our revenue with the pricing. And when we wanted to change that from one type of storage to another type of storage or to, move the data into Glacier or to delete it permanently, that's possible by lifecycle rules. So how do we do that? Let's go to add a rule. Okay, when you say add a rule, okay, you will be asked to provide whole bucket or a certain prefix. The rule is applied to a particular file with certain prefix or the entire bucket you want to apply this rule for. That is asked to you. So you have to, when you wanted to delete something especially into that bucket, then you have to select a prefix and the prefix is provided by you manually. But now for now I'll just go with the whole bucket. The next, say configure rule. in this is important. How do you set the rule? Okay, the rule is set since the versioning is enabled. Okay, there are two different type of actions you are able to see: action on current version and action on previous version. If versioning is not enabled, you will be able to see only one particular action, that is action on the storage or the data, something like that. So you check that from your end and then let me know what type of action you'll be able to see when versioning is not enabled. It's because always when versioning is enabled on a certain bucket, you cannot delete the file permanently from that. What happens is versioning is meant for backup, so that when a file is deleted you will be able to get it back. That is the reason why when versioning is enabled on a particular bucket, you cannot delete a file permanently. But what you can do is you can make the file to be expired or to be deleted, so that another version of that file is created with delete marker. And to delete that permanently, what you can do is you can just set another action with respect to action on previous versions. So that will help you especially. Now you see, to understand this, okay, transition to standard infrequent access storage. So what I said, we can, with respect to life cycle management, we can move the data from one storage to another storage. Okay, there are four different type of storages we have. I'll discuss soon after the lifecycle management and cross-region replication. The two parameters are discussed. So not to worry. So here, in this lifecycle management, we can move data from one to another, from one storage to another storage type, and that's here. Okay. So whether it is on current version or previous version, whatever it is, the options are pretty simple and almost the same. So first thing you see, the transition to the standard infrequent access storage. The name itself will provide you the information saying infrequent access storage class. What do you mean by infrequent access? The data which is not being accessed by us frequently. So such a data is moved from one type of storage, that's standard, to standard infrequent access storage class. With respect to that, we can save our revenue. So to do that, what you have to do, you should select this. And for that, you must need to wait for 30 days. The data which is not accessed for 30 days continuously will be moved on to this type of storage, that's infrequent access. You see, observe one thing. The moment I click on this, there will be a little diagram created underneath of this. You see, the moment I click on this. Okay, this is one. Today is June 7th. Okay, and the infrequent access, the storage type of certain data of this bucket will be changed on July 7th, 2016. Just check giving less amount of time, like for example 29 days, and see what it will say. Okay, a minimum of 30 days is required before transitioning to the standard infrequent access storage class. Please enter an integer value greater than or equal to 30 days. That's what the point is. Okay. So you must need to wait for 30 days to move data from storage standard class to storage standard infrequent access. Okay, and with respect to that, okay, there is a particular project data which we have not accessed for 30 days. Okay, so that it has been moved to certain this storage infrequent access, but even after that we are not being used that, and unnecessarily we are charged for that particular data, keeping in our S3 bucket and all. So finally what we have done is to move that to Glacier. Okay, Glacier is nothing but archiving. We will understand what's archiving. So to do that, you have to select even this. But you should, before that, you see here, standard infrequent access has a 30-day minimum retention period and 30 days minimum retention period. Understand that? And 128 KB minimum object size. Lifecycle policy will not transition objects that are less than 128 KB. So a file size should be minimum of 128 KBs. Only then the lifecycle rule is applied. If not, the files will not be, uh, having any option of, or we cannot do anything with this rule. Next, when we wanted to, glacier or move the objects or the files to the glacier, we have to select this. As it is having the standard infrequent access storage has minimum of 30 days retention, the archiving is done over 60 days. Let's try giving 59 days. It says an object must remain in the standard infrequent access storage class for a minimum of 30 days. Okay, so when we wanted to move data from standard class to standard infrequent storage class, it needs to be not to, it need not to be accessed, it should not be accessed by somebody for 30 days. And from there, if you wanted to move another storage class, another lower storage class to reduce your pricing, then it should be there for 30 days in that particular storage. Then only you can just do that to the other one. So 60 days, from the day it is moved from standard to standard infrequent access, you need to wait 60 days, which is nothing but 30 days from the data is moved to. So June 7th, the data is moved from standard to standard infrequent access. So like June 7th it is created, July 7th it is moved. If the data is not accessed for these 30 days, then on August 6th, because July has 31 days in it, so August 6th, the data will be moved to Glacier. So 60 days from June 7th and 30 days from July 7th. So the gap in between these two is 30 days. That's because has 30-day minimum retention period. It's because of that. Okay, so understand that. If not, we will see that. Okay, not worry. And you wanted to expire, you cannot, as I said, when versioning is enabled, you cannot directly delete the file, but you can expire the file. What happens when you expire? It will be deleted actually, but by creating another version of it saying delete marker. So what happens, you see here. For versioning enabled buckets, an expire will retain the current version as previous version and place a delete marker as the current version. If you wish to permanently delete previous versions, combine the expire actions here with permanently delete previous version action below. So how can you do that? When can you expire or delete the files from the bucket that you can set here? Obviously, it will wait for 1 year. Okay, the minimum of 1 year plus these 60 days. So usually 1 year is nothing but 365 days plus 60 days will be 425 days. So you can just delete, it will by defaultly take 1 year plus these 60 days of time, but it's not compulsory. You can do that lesser than that period of time. How? Let's see here, by giving 60 days, which means the day it has moved to archive. So it says, you see, expire can happen only after archive. So what do we do? We'll just take 61 days and check, which means the data is created on June 7th today, and after 60 days, okay, the storage is moved to archive, and the next day, the very next day, you can delete, okay, the files by default by creating a lifecycle management rule. You don't need to worry anything about, you manually don't need to do anything in that. You can just do by creating this. You see, on August 7th, okay, it expired the data by creating another version of it, that is delete marker overwrite. You clear with that? And as it is mentioned, you want it to permanently delete, then set an action with respect to action on previous version. So what you have to do, action on previous versions, you permanently wanted to delete, set this 365 days simply, and you wanted to delete it less than that, just see, let 60 days. Okay, you wanted to delete, you can just delete the previous versions. So on August 6th, it will be deleted. The previous versions will be deleted on August 6th. And you wanted to, check something with respect to this 30 days and 60 days, and permanently deletion will be done on 61st day. So this is how the diagram is drawn for even this. But you see, this is done possibly on 60th day or 61st day, but only when we select the data to move on standard infrequent access. What if we don't select this standard infrequent access? Okay, you don't need to wait for 60 days to move an object to the glacier. You can directly do that on first day, very first day. I mean the very next day. You see here, earlier when we have taken 59 days, it has given a warning saying that you cannot do that lesser than 30 days of time. But when we don't select transition to the standard and frequent access, okay, the data can be moved onto Glacier directly on very next day, that's tomorrow. And the deletion or the expiration can be done. Let's see here, expire it can happen only after getting. So the very next day, you can delete. And if you wanted to delete permanently from your bucket, you combine only the last option, okay, that's the next day, so you can delete it. So this is what I did. I have taken expire. Actually there was no versioning enabled, so I directly said delete it. So the next day automatically all those files with a certain prefix I have mentioned were deleted without my intervention. So I had to go and check whether the files have got deleted or not, but they were deleted. So this is how the life cycle management is possibly useful. Okay, and the same thing can be happened with respect to this. What happens if you don't select that infrequent access? Then it will go to, the previous versions will go to first day. Okay, then first day, oh, it's not possible, should be. So second day I'll go with it, the deletion will be done. So it will delete things permanently on the second day. You clear with that? Anything you wanted to understand? Yes. So there is no doubt. Can you see? Action on incomplete multi-part uploads. So all these things what we have discussed so far is about something which is already uploaded into buckets. But what if there is some data which is not properly uploaded into it? So action on incomplete multi-part uploads. You can also do something with respect to that, and clean up incomplete multiple uploads so that you can just save some data or some space. That can be done. And I wanted you to understand something here. Early deletion of glacier objects. Okay, so you see the review button is grayed out. It is not asking for us to go and review and create this life cycle rule. It's because these particular things. Early deletion of glacier objects. The glacier storage class is designed for data that is retained for more than 90 days. Objects archived to Glacier Storage class incur cost for at least 90 days of storage even if they are deleted or overwritten earlier. We recommend that you adjust the values above the retain the objects in the Glacier Storage class at least 90 days, which means the moment you select files to be, moved to Glacier, it will by default charge you for amount for the period of 90 days, whether you delete lesser than 90 days or more than 90, or wait for 90 days. The charge is the same. So that it is suggesting for us better to keep the objects in the glacier storage for 90 days. Okay, if you wanted to have something in the glacier either for 90 days, then you acknowledge here. Okay, when you acknowledge here, automatically you will be allowed to do that, which means by default it will charge you for 90 days whether you keep it in the 90 days or not. And the average size of the object in this bucket is 0.0 kbs, which is lesser than the recommended 256.0 kb size. For lowering cost with glacier storage, transition smaller objects to glacier storage class can increase storage cost. Okay, an additional 32 kb of glacier index data and 8 kb of S3 metadata are added to that. So it is suggested to move data into glacier for a large files. So you can acknowledge even this. Then the review button is highlighted. You can just go review and create this rule. Okay, so this is all about life cycle management. What do we do using life cycle management? We can just change the storage class of our data, or we can directly delete the data from the storage or from the S3 bucket using this life cycle management. Are you clear with that? Are you all? Or you want me to repeat anything? You have any doubts? Yes, I got only one response. Okay. So fine, that's fantastic. People have got the concept. But now I'm not going to create any, life cycle management rules. It's because I don't want it to wait for one day and check because there is nothing in there. So I'm going to cancel it. Next. Okay, so we have understood about life cycle. Now the other parameter is cross-region replication. Okay, so to understand this,
Sir, can we check, sir, in life cycle, will the file shows that it was in this stage, it was in this storage, this was in this storage like that?
can you come again? What is your question?
No, like if we put a life cycle rule for some files,
Mm-hmm.
and after some days, and we selected all the standard and archive to the glacier storage, and we
Okay.
did the expert also. But
Mm-hmm.
after some days, we want to check the status of the file, like it's going to delete or in what storage it was in. Where can we check that? We can check that in the same place in the life cycle.
Yeah, if you move it into storage infrequent access, you can just check that here in S3 bucket. If you move it into Glacier, you will have an access to the Glacier separately. So accessing that particular location, you can check the data, whether it is in the storage Glacier class or not. You can always do You can always check your data where it is, in what storage class it is. Okay, because it's your data.
Okay, for Glacier, where should we go and look for that?
Yeah, we should go to Glacier and check. The data will always provide you the option where it is. Will always let you know where the data is and how can you access that, or how can you manage that, and all that will be mentioned to you. And when it is moved into Glacier storage class, you can just go to Glacier and check the data which is there. What happens is, okay, we will understand all that in Glacier. I mean, different storage classes in the next, like soon after we are done with cross-region replication. The different storage classes I'll discuss. Then you will understand things clearly.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other things you want, thing you wanted to clarify? I will.
No, sir.
Okay. So the next topic is cross-region replication. Can somebody tell me what this means, cross-region replication? Do you have any idea with respect to these wordings?
Maybe we can replicate the data from other regions.
Yes. Yes, of course. That's the point, of course. To tell you,
Okay.
what about now? See, this my first bucket 169 is created in Sydney region. Okay, due to something, maybe we don't expect that, but unfortunately, if something goes wrong and this particular Sydney region is not accessible, it's down. The data center and the region is totally down. How can my people access this data? How can I safeguard my data? Isn't it? I have stored something into S3 bucket, thinking that this my S3 storage, I mean like my data is very important and should be accessed by people over internet by the entire globe, so that I have stored files into this S3 bucket. But what happens if this region is not responding properly? How can my people access this, and how can I safeguard my data? Okay, so in that region, in that situation, cross-region replication will help us. So cross-region replication is nothing but the data whatever we store in one particular region, in that respective in a respective bucket, will be updated, the same thing, the copy of that, a Xerox copy or a similar copy or the exact copy of that will be created or stored in another bucket in another region we provide or we mention. So with respect to that, what we can do is, if something goes wrong with our data or our S3 bucket in this Sydney region, we can still access our data from the other region, bucket. That's by selecting cross-region replication. So cross-region replication help us to have an additional copy of our data in another region, so that when this region is not responding, we can still have an access to our data from the other region S3 bucket. See here, cross-region replication replicates every future upload. Okay, you have to understand this. Now we already have a test.txt file in 169. Okay, bucket 169. And that will not be available in the other bucket when you select cross-region replication, because only the future uploads, okay, only the uploads after once this cross-region replication is enabled will be replicated, but not the data which is already available in that. So if you wanted to, replicate the data which is already available in the bucket, what you have to do is you should go again and then upload it for another time. So when you do that, then it will be replicated. That's what it is clearly mentioned. The cross-region replication replicates every future upload of every object in this bucket to the another bucket. Cross-region replication is designed for use in conjunction with versioning, which means whenever you wanted to go with a cross-region replication option, the bucket must be enabled with versioning. Then only you can go ahead and then have this cross-region replication option. If there is no versioning enabled on a bucket, then you cannot go with cross-region replication. That's what it says. So this replication is possible to happen only when versioning is enabled, and you will require to enable versioning on this bucket and the target bucket. So once you enable the versioning on this current bucket, on the target bucket, by default it will be enabled. So not to worry anything about that. Now what do we do? We'll just go check how our data will be replicated. Yes, enable cross-region replication. Select on that, and when you select that, the options are provided here like this. This bucket are things on inside the bucket with a certain prefix, and destination region, which destination you wanted to have this bucket in. When you select that, by default the Sydney region is not listed here in this, because the current bucket is in Sydney region, so that is ruled out. You will be able to see only the other rest of the 9 regions. Now what do I do? I'll just go create the a replication in Tokyo region, for example. And do we have any buckets in Tokyo regions? Not really. We don't have anything. So what do you see? Destination bucket. To which bucket you wanted to replicate this data? So that's what the destination bucket. Since I don't have any buckets created there, it is suggesting me to create a new bucket. So I'll just go and create a new bucket. The region is already selected, so no option is provided except for Tokyo. Note, versioning will be automatically enabled on the new bucket because the older bucket has that versioning is enabled, and only when versioning is enabled you can have this cross-region replication option. Then let's see my replica 169. I'll just give like that. Let's see whether this name is available for us. Yes, it's available. And destination storage class same as source object default. Okay, and for this we must need to have an IAM role. Why IAM role comes into picture here in this? It's because these buckets, my first bucket 169 and my replica bucket 169, should be in a communication, should contact to each other to have a replication of data without our intervention, so that there should be an established communication. There should be a communication established in between these two buckets. For that, an IAM role is created. So then only you can just go and save, or else you cannot do that. So since I don't have any IAM role, what I'll do, I'll go create or select an IAM role. So the IAM role is, what for the IAM role is used? Yes. Why do we need this IAM role? Yes, for permissions and to have the communication is established in between these two. Now you see S3 is requiring permissions to replicate resources in your account. So click allow. This is what, click allow to give S3 replication access to the resource in your account. So what access is provided? If you wanted to check, you can just go click on view details. So in that view details, role description is what? Provide replication access to AWS service and resources, and in that create a new IAM role. If you wanted, you can just create, or if you have another one, you can just select in that. But I don't have anything, so I'm not selecting anything. I'm just going for creating a new one. And what is the name of your role created? That's my first bucket, the source, and my replica 116, that's the destination. Then S3, the role name, it is already given though. Then repel hyphen role. So this is the name provided to that. Then what is the permission provided? If you wanted to check the permissions, then the policy attached to the role is this. You can check even that. So what is the permission provided to that? First, get replication configuration. Then S3 list bucket, it can list resource is my first bucket 169. From that, it needs to list everything. Get object versions, get object version ICL, effect allow resource, my first bucket is that. Then replicate objects, allow everything. So whatever we do on the first bucket, the same thing will be applied on the second bucket either. So we must have to say yes, allow, hide this, and say allow. If we say allow, automatically the new bucket, like new role is selected here. You see, my first bucket 169, my replica 169, S3 repel role. Then the save button is enabled on this. So we'll just go save it. It is saved. Okay, it is saved. Now let's go and refresh this and check. See here, we have not created any other buckets, but by default my replica 169 is created with respect to the cross region replication. But do we have any data in this? Do we? Will there be any data in that? My replica 169? Yes? So there will be some data in that, as you say. But let's go check. The bucket, my replica 169 is empty. Why is that? There is no data in the. It's not hidden. We not transfer. Have you seen something that the very first line about cross-region replication mentioned that the replication is done only on the future uploads? Yes, only the future uploads. After once the cross-region replication is enabled, we have not uploaded anything, so there is nothing here in this bucket. Okay, so we don't have any data in this new bucket, my replica 169, just because we have not uploaded anything after once this is enabled. So understand, only the future uploads will be replicated, not the existing ones. So we don't have any data in this. Now what do we do? I already have the same file, just because only to have this. So this is the new version. Now I'll say cross region repel is enabled. So something like that I wanted to write, and then save this. The same file I'll upload into our main bucket, source bucket. Then it should be uploaded into the destination bucket as well. Okay, now when we see its versions, show versions, we have only two versions currently for that particular file. Okay, so let's go and then upload the same file again. I'll go add file. So desktop, and in that test.txt. Okay, so we have uploaded, and what we have to do, we should make it private. I mean, like public. By default, whenever an object is uploaded, it will be by default private. So when you wanted to make it public, either you go upload and then select that file and then make it private, public, or while uploading it, you can do that. You see the different type of storage classes. Okay, let's discuss the different type of storage classes here. Okay, use standard storage, or use standard infrequent access, or use reduced redundancy storage. These are the three different type of storages we have. Okay. Okay, fine. Let's finish with this and then understand those things later. So I'll say make everything public, then start upload, waiting, starting, and done. Now we have another version created for this particular file test.txt, that is of 162 bytes. And you see, remember its version ID. I'll just go for none here. And the version ID is what? NUFFI, something like that. Let's see here. We'll go to all buckets and go to my replica. See here, we have the file 162 bytes. Okay, and when we see show versions, the version ID will be the same, NUFFIA something and all. So it not only replicate the data, but it will also replicate the data with the same version IDs, because everything as it is will be replicated. Okay, so that is the possibility. See here, now I'm trying to access a data from our replication bucket. We are still able to access that without we manually provide the access to that, because we made it public from the source bucket, and the same thing is applied on the destination bucket either. So this is what is mentioned. You clear with that? Yes. So remember, only future uploads are seen, are replicated, but not the existing, and the same thing will be done. Now let's see what I'll do. Just to play, I'll go delete this. Yes, I wanted to delete it, and let's go check whether the same thing is available here. Okay, we have deleted from our source so that the destination will also be deleted. So when you wanted to get it back, get the file back, okay, go to all buckets and my first bucket and show versions. In that, the delete marker is created. I'll go delete this delete marker. Yes, okay, and go to all buckets, check. Okay, we have the file, that's 162 bytes. Go to all buckets and check the same. the bucket is still empty. So whatever we just get it back, we don't see here in this. When we wanted to see why this is done, because when something go wrong, okay, in the first bucket or some data is deleted and you get it back, or if that region is not replicated, we can still get those objects back from this. Okay, the replicated one also has this, which means what I'll do, I'll just go and delete a file from our source bucket and go to replica. It has nothing in it, so show versions. Two times we have deleted, so two times delete marker has come over there. Now I'll just delete both of them. Now let's check. My first bucket 169 is empty, but my replica 169 has a file in it, and we can still access this file. So this is the best use of cross-region replication. Okay, but we have to play this game only when you are not concerned about budget, or only when your data is less. If you go play this on your files or data which is very huge, because versioning must be enabled to have cross-region replication, and if you go and do this on a large file, okay, then it will charge you more and more for you. So we should be very careful in that. You clear with that? You all? Anything you wanted to clarify? Is there any doubt? Yes? So hope all of you are clear with respect to all the parameters. Okay. And now what I'll do, I'll just go to this bucket properties and let's check. Okay. We don't have any file in that, so selected the file. Check the details. So you see here under details you have storage class. If not lifecycle management, and when you wanted to change the storage class, you can also do that by this. Under details of any particular object you select, you can just go in there and details, in the details you can select its storage class, either this or this, anything it is possible. But when we wanted to do it, is it possible for us to go select every single file and for every file we change? Because in real time we'll have so much of data in the bucket. So having all that, having all such huge data, changing its storage class for every single file is not possible, or even it is possible, it's really very time taking. So we just go for a life cycle rules. But let's try to understand what are these different storage types and conclude our class for today with by going through these different storage classes. Okay, so to understand these storage classes, let's see what way these are all created and useful. Everything is with respect to the budget and the access of our data. The very first thing is standard. By default, whenever you upload a data into an S3 bucket, it will be into standard storage class. So what is standard storage class? Okay, let's understand with respect to this. When I say standard storage class, okay, standard storage class, standard, okay, the data will be safe for 99.99% availability. Okay, the data is safe. You can access your data for this much of time. And how long your data is safe in the bucket? Of course, you can access for 99.99% without any disturbance, without any problem. You will be able to access your data. But how long your data will be safe in the bucket? That's possible for 99.99999 like that. Okay, 11 nines durability. So it just goes on like that for 9 times, which means if we say 4 nines here in this, okay, here we have to say 11 nines. Okay, so much of durability we have. What do you mean by availability and durability? Okay, I'm talking about availability and durability. Understand this and remember it's really very important. People may ask you what is the durability of an S3 bucket? Then you people have to say its durability is 11 nines. That's nothing but 99.99 durability for an S3 bucket when its storage class is standard. Okay, so such a huge durability we have, which means 99.99 okay, time your data is safe and there will not be any loss of it. So that is what your storage standard class will help you with. There will not be any option of losing your data. It's always safe and available in your S3 bucket, and it is always accessible by you for 99.99%. I'll just give you a little example in this case. If you have a new dress purchased, how long it is available? Maybe for 1 day or 2 days, a number of days you just try. But is it available all the days? Not possible, because you may be, you may give it for washing, or you may give it for, pressing it, iron, so, or it may be dirty so that you cannot wear it. Of course, the dress is with you, but you will not be able to, wear it every day because of the various reasons. Maybe you wore it yesterday, and people may think that okay, every day this particular person wear the same dress, so thinking that you may change and that and then wear another dress today. So something like that. It's available for 99.99%, but how long it's durable? How many number of days you just maintain it properly? You getting my concept? So it's durable, it's available. I mean, like, it will be with you, the dress will be with you in a good condition, unless, I mean, like, the number of days you maintain it safe, you take care of it, okay, so without spoiling. So it always depends on you, but that is what availability and durability means. So here in an S3 bucket, when we select storage class as standard, it is available for 99.99% and it's durable for 99.99, which is nothing but totally 11 nines durable. So such a huge amount of security and safety of our data will be provided by S3 bucket. So that is the possible thing you guys need to remember. What happens, okay, when you go to, of course, if the file is deleted in this storage standard class, you can have your file retrieved or restored back. You can get that file back which is lost by you for two facilities continuously or concurrently, which is nothing but two facilities, nothing but even if you lose your data for two times, you can still get your data back. That is what the thing or the safety with respect to the data is possible over this particular thing. So that is what this standard storage class is all about. It is 99.99% availability. Okay, it has that's four nines availability, and the durability is 11 nines. Even if you delete your file, you will get it back. Even if you lose it for two times, you will be able to get that file back. And next, standard infrequent access. I'll say SIA, standard infrequent access. Under this, of course, the availability is same. That's 4 nines. Okay, availability is same for all the storage classes that you will be able to access your data. But what's going to change? Okay, in infrequent access, even the durability is same. That's 11 nines, but we do not speak about yeah, we have to speak. That's 11 nines durability. Okay, but why do we have to move a storage from standard to standard infrequent access? It's because to reduce our revenue, to reduce our billing. What way it will save? When we talk about pricing, comparatively, standard and infrequent access will have a change, that infrequent access will charge you lesser than standard class. Okay, and you will be able to move, or you will move the data only which is not being accessed by you frequently. Okay, so that your data is moved to infrequent access. With respect to that, your charges will be reduced. But the thing is, okay, of course it will lower the fees than S3 standard, but charged per retrieval. Okay, what do you mean by retrieval? It's restoring. In case if you lose any data, okay, in case if you lose any data, of course you can just get the data back, you can just retrieve it back or restore it back, but for that restoration it will be charged. But you know the thing is when the data is not frequently accessed by we people, why do we need to restore it every day or every time we lose? Isn't it? Whenever we don't want it to access, here we wanted to access it every day or very frequently, so whenever we lose it we restore it back. Since we are paying very high, the restoration is also free here in this standard class. And when we decide that the data is not needed or not need to accessed by people or us, only such data will be moved to infrequent access. Once it is moved to infrequent access, since we are not accessing the data, okay, regularly, this type of storage class will be charged less, lower the revenue or fees or payment you just pay towards that. And since we don't need to access this every day, we don't need to retrieve every time we lose it. Whenever we want it, we just retrieve it back or restore it back. And even in that situation, even only if it is deleted. If not, it is deleted, we don't need to bother anything about it. But the difference is they charge you less for storage infrequent access when compared to standard. But in case of standard storage, the retrieval is free, the restoration of data is free. But in infrequent access, they charge you for restoration. But in both the cases, the restoration of your data is possibly done in lesser than of 1 minute time. Within such a very less amount of time, you will be able to retrieve your data or restore your data. Okay. Next, the RRS. Simply we say reduced redundancy storage as RRS. Now, when we wanted to understand, as I said, the availability is okay. 4 nines for this as well, but the durability, okay. I'll say availability as A. Availability as A and durability as B. When it comes to RRS, availability will be the same, 4 nines. You will be able to access your data. But durability is also 4 nines. Okay. So the durability is reduced here in this reduced redundancy. What do you mean by redundancy? Can somebody tell me what do you mean by redundancy? Are you all active in the class? Is somebody there? Rates not useful. Redundancy. I'm talking about redundancy. Redundancy is nothing but the safety of your data. Okay. Remember, the safety of your data is known as redundancy. So redundancy means that. Understand. So how safe your data is. When it comes to standard storage class, it's available for 11. It's durable for 9 and one sec, yes. Yeah. So it's available. The data is very safe for 11 nines, but in reduced redundancy, it is reduced to your data's redundancy is reduced to 4 nines from 11 nines, which means there is a possibility that you may lose some files stored in your S3 bucket in this reduced redundancy. So you have to decide what type of storage class you have to select. If you think your data is very critical and you don't want it to lose it for any time, then you better have to select standard. And if you think that your data is not very crucial, even if you lose 1 or 2 files out of 100 for over the period of time, okay, 1 file over 100 files, you're fine, you're still fine with that, but you're concerned about your budget, your payment, then you go with RRS, reduced redundancy. Okay, so in this, the challenge is you may lose your data, but it is available all the time and will charge you very less when compared to standard and standard infrequent access S3 IA, and that will be charged over the large period of time over an year. You clear with that, everybody? Yes. And apart from these three, though it is not mentioned here, okay, we also have another type of storage, that's glacier. What do you mean by glacier? We'll discuss about this and then stop our class for today. So when you go, I would like to delete, I'll just delete these things. First, delete this. Whenever you wanted to delete your bucket, you must need to specify its name. Okay, my first bucket. My first bucket, 169, it's deleted. Waiting. Okay, done. Deleted. Then I'll also delete this because we are not needed. Sorry for the disturbance. So the glacier is what? If you go to your main, here is what glacier. So what do you mean by that? Glacier. It's mentioned backup or recover data. It's nothing but it's clearly mentioned archive storage in the cloud. What do you mean by archiving? Do you remember? Anybody? Archiving? What do you mean by archiving? Backup. Okay. What type of backup is it? Copy paste or cut paste? Cut
Copy
paste.
paste.
Yes, yes, that's what he's thinking. So backup means there are two type of backups we have. Copy and paste it somewhere so that you have a copy of your data in your local machine and then additional copy of it in other remote location. But when you say archive, it will cut from your local location, your current location, and then will copy it into the another remote location, whichever you prefer. So that is what archiving is. When you think your data is no longer accessed by you or may not be accessed now, maybe needed in the future. Okay, may be needed in the future but not being accessed by you, and you wanted to store the data for that and wanted to pay very less. You don't wanted to maintain it. If your data, if the data is in your location, you always have to maintain it and then check whether the data is available or not, whether it is safe or not, and all. You have to worry and take care about your data every time. But when that data is not accessed by you, when that data is not needed for you, okay, what do? You don't need to pay unnecessarily for that, though you don't access it. So in that situation, when you don't want it to pay, but still in the future, it may be needed for you, though it's not being used for you or not being accessed by you currently. So what do? You just move such data or such projects data into Glacier. Once you move that data into Glacier, it will be removed from your current location and stored it into Amazon's S3 bucket. not into your S3 bucket, but Amazon's S3 bucket it will be stored. So Amazon will take care of your data by having or by storing your data into that, and they will maintain on behalf of you and will charge you comparatively very less with respect to storage, standard and infrequent access and reduced redundancy when compared to all those three. Very less they'll charge you, but the challenge is if you lose that data and if you wanted to restore your data back, it will probably take 4 to 6 hours of time. So if you're fine to wait for 4 to 6 hours of time to get your data back, then you're fine to move your data into Glacier. So once it is moved to Glacier, Amazon will take care of entire data by having the data into their S3 locations, into their location S3 bucket, and will charge you comparatively very less. So how to move into Glacier? How do we move data into Glacier?
Life cycle.
Yes,
Life cycle.
exactly. By creating lifecycle rules, we move our data into Glacier. So this is what, this is all about the different type of storages we have. With respect to this, all of our S3 content is covered. There is only one thing we need to talk about S3, that's encryption. Okay, so we will see about encryption tomorrow, and after once encryption is done, we discuss something about encryption, it's about 1 or 2 minutes, but still we will do it tomorrow. Then we will just go see something about CloudFront practical. You clear, all of you? Anything you wanted to clarify? Fine. So there is nothing to be clarified, but your today's activity is create a bucket and also create cross-region replication for that. Upload some files into it and then make sure those files are replicated into your replication bucket or another region bucket. So that's your activity, and once you play that game, in the end delete everything. Though you have 5 gigabytes of free storage in S3, let's not keep anything in this and then forget and then pay in the future, because our free tier account is only for 1 year. Okay, so hope everybody does that and then share your screens with me, and if there
Sir,
is any
I
doubt.
have
Yeah, Shrikant, Sai.
in EC2, sir. We create one website, and we
Mm-hmm.
can move the matter in from one website to another website. Can we do that in EC2?
Web pages, you have to copy
Yeah,
that.
web pages.
Yeah, those web pages should be copied from one server to another server, that's all.
Okay.
Rather you create those web pages in the server. Okay, you can also do that by creating web pages separately and keep it in S3 bucket, then write a script in user data so that all those web pages are copied into your S3, your instance, your EC2 instance. And when you wanted, those web pages are available to be available on other server also as well. So you you give the same script on the other instance as well, so that same web pages will be copied. That's what we do in auto scaling. How do we create an instance which is readily available for our live production on the spot and serve similarly as our existing servers with the same website available in it? That's possible with respect to this user data and all. So that's what auto
But
scaling.
if we have two different web pages, I
Okay,
wanted to copy some data from one web page to another web page.
two websites, two different websites.
Two two different web pages.
Yeah, you can have any number of web pages. That's what we have created, index.html and healthcheck.html, those are two different web pages, and both of them have copied onto every instance, isn't it?
Yeah.
So any web page you have, you wanted to copy, you simply write a script and then do. We have taken to copy AWS S3 CP to copy all the files. CP source from a bucket, and destination
S3 in bucket
uh,
name. Yeah.
S3, and destination as var www html, and we have mentioned hyphen hyphen recursive.
Yeah.
When we say hyphen hyphen recursive, it will copy all the files from that S3 bucket. But when you wanted only specific file to be copied or specific web page to be copied, what do? You alter your script saying in that source, rather you give only the bucket name, you also specify that web page name, S3 colon slash slash my first bucket 169, instead of specifying that bucket name individually. When you mention your bucket name individually, it will copy everything from that when you say recursive. So what do? You just say slash your data, that web page, test.html. So only that test.html will be copied and
Okay.
save it into that. And in the end, you don't need to give recursive. Hyphen hyphen recursive need not to be given.
Okay.
So with that, it's possible to copy one single HTML file or one single web page onto an instance. But in that case, you wanted to alter your script and then create a new instance only with respect to do that.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Any other doubts?
Yeah. No more, sir.
Good, Sai. I think you are making your hands dirty as much as possible. That's really good. I want every other guy to practice as much as possible and then come up with as many doubts as possible. Yes. So for today, you are going to practice create an S3 bucket, upload data into it, and enable versioning to that, and check if you can enable cross region replication without versioning or not. And check end of the day you are going to practice cross region replication and then send those screens to me. Are you all okay with that? Fine. If you all are fine, having no doubts, I'll end up the session. Okay, then catch you tomorrow by same time, 7:30 IAM IST. Sorry, AM IST. Good day all.